Now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome everyone to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Thursday, October 2nd, 2025. And a quick check of the weather-related headlines across the state of Alaska. There's been some accumulating snow through the Alaska Range, spreading northward up into the White Mountains there, especially higher terrain north and east of Fairbanks. There is a winter weather advisory in effect for the higher elevations there of the Elliott Highway in through the White Mountains, where as much as 3 to 6 inches of snow could fall there. And they've had reports of snow in Thompson Pass closer to the northern Gulf Coast there above Cordova Valdez of 6 inches of snow. So we've had a little winter weather to contend with, and now we're going to turn our attention to a storm system coming in off of the Bering Sea with a front. There is a coastal flood advisory for areas of the west coast. I'll highlight that in a moment. And overall, a series of North Pacific Bering Sea storms are going to be parading on and off here through next week, probably even into the following weekend. We have some very warm sea surface temperatures south of the Aleutian Chain in the North Pacific, so that's going to help provide additional heat energy and moisture for those systems. And overall, above normal temperatures are expected for much of the state, especially the mainland, as we go up through next weekend, and very wet, especially in areas of the west coast and west central interior. So looking at a couple of the FAA webcams on this Thursday afternoon, Isabel Pass, some light snow and fog. Areas of the Alaska Range have seen 3 to 6 inches of snow. Some of the pass roads and that maybe 1 to 3 inches of wet, slushy snow. So that moisture there is beginning to peel out. And Yakutat getting in on some steadier rain today. That rain is going to be shifting southeastward across the Panhandle this Thursday night, and for Friday morning will be pretty soggy there with some moderate to locally heavy rain falling as well. And looking at the current advisories, we have a winter weather advisory in effect now until 10 p.m. on Friday evening for, again, the higher elevations there of the Elliott Highway on east through the White Mountains, the upper Salshit River. This area here could pick up 3 to 6 inches of snow. You get above 1,500 feet and maybe even a bit more in a few spots. But we've already had some snow here in the Alaska Range. That should begin to taper off for now into tonight. But back to the west, we have a low that's going to come across the western Aleutians tomorrow, Friday, and then it's going to come up into the central Bering and pull back here just outside the Gulf of Anadyr, and that's going to force a windy front along the southwest and west coast. So the Fairbanks office has issued a coastal flood advisory from Wales there at the Bering Strait down all along the Norton Sound coastline and lower Yukon Delta. Wind and wave action could kick up water levels 2 to 5 feet above the normal higher tide in this area starting Friday afternoon through early Sunday morning. Another area of concern down here, I spoke with the Anchorage Forecast Office. They haven't yet considered a warning or any type of advisory, but Kuskokwim Bay, especially the west side, Kwagilingak on over to Kipnik, could see some higher water levels with those stronger southeast to southerly winds as that front pulls on through. So again, areas here of the west coast will see elevated surf, potential for some minor coastal flooding, and again, maybe some beach erosion as well. Satellite imagery shows that moisture working its way along the northeastern Gulf Coast and now going to pull across the Panhandle for tonight and into Friday morning. Conditions will begin to improve for Friday afternoon, evening from northwest to southeast as we get into some clearer conditions here, Yakutat on into the northern Panhandle. We are seeing a little bit of clearing here, south central areas, the Kenai Peninsula, Kodiak Island, Anchorage Bowl, lower Matsu Valley, as this system is pulled eastward. And you can see this enhanced cloudiness. This is where some of the snow falling in through like the White Mountains, and there's also some additional moisture coming in from the west. But back out here toward the western Aleutians, this is the next stronger area of low pressure. It's a storm force low. There are storm warnings in effect for tonight for the central Aleutians into the day Friday. And by late tonight, early Friday morning, the low pressure will be dipping down below 980 millibars. Weakening low in the northeastern Gulf Coast, but still going to produce areas of moderate to isolated heavier rain across the Panhandle tonight into Friday morning. And we have still some pockets of moisture and lingering areas of snow in the interior. But for Friday afternoon, what we're really watching is this system out here It's going to deepen down near or below 975 millibars, and as it comes back toward the north-northwest, this front, there's some very mild moist air along and south of the Alaska Peninsula and eastern Aleutians. That's going to be riding north-northeastward, so that's going to bring some milder temperatures across Kuskokwim, Bristol Bays, Alaska Peninsula, up in the Cook Inlet, and around Kodiak Island as we get into Saturday. So by Saturday, low down around 975 millibars west of St. Lawrence Island, with the front arcing ahead into the western and southwest interior. As I said, it's not impossible, as long as the rain isn't too heavy, that Kodiak City could be up near 60 degrees as a result of this warmer air coming north. And that's not enough. As we get into Sunday, we still have the high pressure sitting out here over the North Pacific Eastern Gulf, so the Panhandle should generally have drier weather into the day on Saturday, and then by the time we get into Sunday, that front advances further north and east across into the northern interior along the Chukchi coast into the eastern interior. And so temperatures are going to moderate and actually warm a bit here into the areas of the west and central interior. And then we're going to have yet another secondary system come up along the Alaska Peninsula. That's going to bring additional rainfall. Pretty soggy weather shaping up for Saturday night into Sunday morning across south central around Cook Inlet, the Kenai Peninsula, including the Anchorage Bowl and Kodiak Island, so more wet weather there. Looking at temperatures Friday morning, coldest readings up here along the Brooks Range, 15 or so at Arctic Village and Adigan Pass. We'll see temperatures below freezing in through the Yukon Flats, upper Tanana Valley, northern Copper River Basin. Otherwise 40s generally in the Panhandle because you're going to have a rainy night there. In parts of south central could actually be like Anchorage 40, could even be a little cooler than that in some of the eastern areas of town where you have that clearing persist for tonight. Back to the west, readings in the 40s along the Alaska Peninsula into the eastern Aleutians, and then you'll see temperatures in the 50s here Friday afternoon, and those can nudge upward along the Kenai Peninsula, Anchorage Bowl. Also 50s, even an isolated 60-degree reading Friday afternoon around Klawock or Craig. And in the far north, it stays just below freezing along the Brooks Range, highs only near 30. For Saturday morning, teens again, 13 Arctic Village, 17 Anatuvik Pass. We could see readings below freezing here, Yukon Flats along the Elkan border, generally above 40 in through the Panhandle, with the exception as you get up in elevation along the Klondike Highway. Otherwise, back here to the west, 40s along the southwest coast. We have that low coming in with the winds, south winds, so temperatures are going to stay above 40 degrees along the lower Yukon coastline in through areas around and inland from Kuskokwim and Bristol Bays, but you're also going to have that potential for that higher surf as we go through late Friday night and Saturday. And temperatures, notice behind that front, readings actually go upward. 50 plus could happen even up into the lower Yukon Valley and up through the Kuskokwim on the west side of the Alaska Range. Could even flirt with near 60-degree temperatures at King Salmon, Kodiak City. But there will also be showers and rain intermixed with that push of milder air. And here is the what's coming up here for later next week through next weekend. And we're talking about high probability above normal temperatures across the mainland, and especially centered around Norton Sound and the area of the lower Yukon River and Kuskokwim rivers from around Bethel, St. Mary's, and on up to, as you're getting up into the middle Yukon, Haisley maybe. And so overall, the state's going to see above normal temperatures, but when you have this southwest flow coming in with this warmer, moist air from the North Pacific, and this pattern persisting for the next week plus, it's also going to bring in some heavier precipitation. So areas surrounding Kotzebue Sound, the Seward Peninsula, inland from there to Ambler and Haisley and up around the east end of Norton Sound. That's the area that's likely to see most of the additional precipitation. And this could be is mainly in the form of rain because it's just going to be a little too mild to snow. And then back here across the Panhandle, a drier pattern implying some sort of ridging. So drier conditions are expected, especially next week into the following weekend over southeast Alaska. And this pattern should persist leading up until mid-October.